What's up, guys? Thank you for tuning into this video. Today we're going to be checking out this 2023 Hyundai Kona. It's going to be my full tour and drive video. So let's go and get started. The purpose of this car is to be a funky looking little crossover to appeal to younger buyers. It competes with vehicles like the Honda HR-V and the Toyota CHR, which might be discontinued. This one is finished in this Nardo gray type color, and it's got this black cladding over the wheels here. You could get this car in this Nardo gray. I believe you could get it in blue and green, and then variations of grayscale. You got squinty-eyed headlights, your main headlight clusters, and this grille, which is a bit cleaner than the earlier Konas. Overall, it's not a bad looking thing. Definitely achieves its funky and fun nature pretty well. Moving on inside, you will find that this car is not a paragon of interior build quality and high-end materials. The biggest standout is this tremendously cheap and terrible carpet. New car carpeting is bad in general, but this carpet is real bad. There's a lot of plastic everywhere. There's not very many soft touch materials. The whole dash is plastic all the way down. The doors are all plastic. Even the door center here, which is usually soft touch, is plastic. This armrest is all plastic. Steering wheel feels like a basic steering wheel. It is reasonably attractive, and it does have these nice buttons on it for your hands-free phone and audio, your cruise control, and your navigation of the screen and the gauge cluster, which you navigate with these arrow keys right here. And it just gives you basic information, your speed, your trip, and your average fuel economy. That's about it. And then you got this screen in the middle here. Not sure how big it is, but it has Apple CarPlay and it does all the media things you want it to do. Moving down beyond that, you got your vents and your hazards. And then you have the base single zone climate control, which is not automatic. An automatic system is optional, but this is better. Simple is better. How hot do you want it? How hard do you want it? And where do you want it? And then below that, you have your passenger bag warning light, AC, recycling, rear defrost, a charging port, a USB, and then a power outlet. Going down the center console, you have your drive mode selector. You can put it in normal, sport, and smart. And those do various things, I guess. One thing the owner really likes about this car is that it has a traditional handbrake lever, which is becoming exceedingly rare these days. You got a typical automatic shifter with a button to release it, moves in a straight line, and then you can put it over in the no clutch, not a manual mode to control the CVT. And the only transmissions you can get with this car are a CVT or a 8-speed, 7 or 8-speed dual clutch auto. And you got these cup holders, which are pretty good cup holders. And then this armrest, which is padded. And you can fit a reasonable amount of stuff in there. On the other side of the dash, you do have these attractive circular air vents, which look nice. And then the glove box, which is very small, and it does include the window sticker, which has a MSRP of $25,730, which honestly sounds about right for a little crossover in today's market. It's got all the power accessories that you would expect: power windows, mirrors, locks. And over here you have your gauge cluster brightness, a blank switch. I have no idea what this is. It's hill descent control. Why? All right, and then traction control, which it's nice that you can turn that off. sun visors, overhead console. It is lined in felt, and then your map lights. Overall, it's a pretty basic interior. There's really nothing to write home about. It does everything you need it to do, and nothing that you don't. It's not too bad. Let's go ahead and check out the back seat and the cargo space. It does warn you that the car is on when you open the door with it on, and if you shut it off, first of all, it plays that chime, but it warns you to check the rear seats, which is good. It's good that cars are doing that now. And it also has automatic headlights. Forgot to mention that. Moving on to the back seat now. It is very small back here. There is not a lot of room. And I guess that's not that surprising given that this is a small crossover, not like a full-size SUV. This seat isn't even all the way back. You know, I'm tall. I'm 6'2". This seat isn't even all the way back, and I have no space. There's a good amount of headroom, though. And you can control the dome lighting. Everything is all plastic back here as well. These seats do fold 60-40. And you got a center console with cup holders. So for children and growing families, it's a perfect back seat. For tall people like myself, it's definitely lacking. But it does the job. Moving on now to the trunk. We'll talk about cargo space. It does have a nice trunk mat. I imagine you got a spare tire under there. It has 19.2 cubic feet behind the second row seats. And if you fold down the second row seats, it expands to 45.2 cubic feet. I don't know if that's class good, but the owner was disappointed in the amount of space that there is back here. One thing it does have, and you guys know how much I rave about these, is a handle to stick your hand so you don't mark up the paint on the trunk. Everything should have that. Everything. The engine on this car is one of 3 different engines you could get. This one has the base 2-liter 4-cylinder SmartStream G engine. Optional on this car were a 1.6 turbo for the Kona N line, and I believe the Limited. And the Kona N had a 2-liter turbo. As I said before, the only transmissions were this car's CVT and a 7-speed dual clutch. And we'll see how that CVT feels in just a second, because now it's time to drive. Alrighty, we're driving the Hyundai Kona. Now, if it isn't obvious to you already, this isn't a very interesting car. And you know, it makes sense. It's a small crossover. How interesting could it possibly be? If this were a Kona N, there would be more to talk about. The main thing that I was interested in this car was the CVT. How does it feel in comparison to other CVTs I've driven? And the answer is it feels the same. I've driven a lot of Nissans with CVTs. It feels pretty much identical to those. I've driven the Corolla with CVTs. Feels similar. I don't know how reliability is with Hyundai Kia CVTs, so it remains to be seen. But it feels all right. Otherwise, it's your typical modern car stuff. It feels quiet and solid, and there's no squeaks or rattles or anything. This car only has 8,800 miles on it. And the engine power is adequate. 147 horsepower. Doesn't sound like a lot, but you know, it's enough. This car does 0 to 60 in the 9-second range, which is reasonable. You know, it's just fine for an entry-level crossover for a growing family. It's plenty to get you into traffic. This car has auto stop start, which the owner turns off every time they get in the car. And it also has push button ignition, which I really like. It's another one of those things that I feel like every car should have. Some of you may disagree with me, but I like push button ignition. Beyond that, there's really not much to talk about. It corners reasonably flat. I'm sure if you push it hard, it'll understeer, because it's a safe car, and that's what safe cars do. There's airbags all over the place. It got 5 stars in every crash safety rating, aside from rollover. And the steering is numb and lifeless. But it's not bad if you just want to buy a small crossover to haul your kids around and be an A to B car. This thing will do the job nicely, and it's comfortable. These seats are comfortable. I got a lot of headroom. I have plenty of room for my long legs. And that's what the people who are buying these things want. They just want a couch to drive around in. The driving experience of this thing is pretty forgettable, but that's the point. You're not supposed to be thinking about it once you got out of it. You're supposed to get in it, stick it in D, and go. And it makes me wonder why it has a sport mode, which I just put it in. We'll see if that does anything. I don't think the sport mode is necessary. So as far as I can tell, the sport mode does nothing but make it hold revs longer. I don't think that's necessary. Anyway. But that's going to do it for this video. I've run out of things to say. I hope you enjoyed this video on this 2023 Hyundai Kona. Big thank you to the owner for letting me take this thing for a spin. Let me do a video on it. And if you like what you saw here, please subscribe. I'll have more videos coming out for you as soon as I can. Take care, guys. I'll see you in the next one.